And we are live. Hello and welcome to Developer Insights. I'm David.
And I'm Justin.
And together we are the leads on game development and design here at Codename.
We also founded Codename too.
We're going to be your hosts for this episode and every episode.
Okay, because when we're not here, the show doesn't happen. Just maybe a blessing sometimes.
Lucky you.
Today is our 162nd episode.
That's right, and our 1600th, 20th server outage.
Wait, do we really want to call attention to that?
Right. There was no server outage today. PS18 definitely did not crash after a data push.
Exactly.
And then PS20, 22, and 23 definitely didn't follow suit.
Yes, nothing like that happened.
Yes. And we've always been at war with Eurasia.
Wait, what?
Wait. No, reject the evidence of your eyes and ears.
Okay, I want out. This is too real.
Sorry. I was expecting Boston say, so when I saw Eurasia, I froze up. Yep,
Yeah,
I got thrown off.
Anyway, today we are here to answer development and design questions about idle champions.
That's true. And if you don't ask any questions, however, you may have to suffer through Justin's one-man reenactment of the last 60 minutes of Justin's time before Dev Insights started.
No thanks. Living through that was once was enough.
You mean you don't enjoy debugging memory issues with no visibility into the issue's root cause?
No. Do you?
Sometimes. But not what the line says. It's okay. Anyway, as always, we have pulled forward some questions from the previous show that we will get to while we're waiting for new questions to come in. But before that, I do have some updates on items that were flagged to get looked at by the dev team. So without any further stalling for time, let's get started with those.
Let's.
And I do have some new items, which I know you were promising me will go out to Steam in the next build, which will happen right after the show.
Knock on wood, hopefully.
Okay. Well, these items are queued up to go out with the next build, which will be going out very shortly after the stream. And that is that you will now be able to equip skins directly from the skin card after you unlock them. We are adding an option to show the average champion item level on the bench. This is something you can turn on and off in the settings, but I think it's going to start on, but it'll show the eye levels for your champions on the bench. The Legendary Forge will now be available even if you have not unlocked Trials of Mount Tiamat, but you have scales, because otherwise you can't use the scales, so that seemed kind of important. Duplicate shiny items now will display the shiny item badge on them. They weren't doing that before. And after much waiting on popular demand, we have the ability to open 1,000 bounty contracts in one go. It is in this build, and to make it just that much better, it won't bork your save after opening. How many did you have to open before? It was 100,000 at a go, or some large number. If you opened them, would cause your save not to save because of a very silly way that data was being sent. So that is corrected. I think now you can get up to, what did you think it would be, 100 million?
It should be able to do 1,000 times that if you're opening 1,000 contracts at once. So
whatever that large
time,
number is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
not a challenge.
Yeah, 100 million.
But if you want to open 100 million bounty contracts, be my guest. Fill your boots.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into leftover questions from last week. First question out of the gate, or not out of the gate, the first question left over from last week. This one is from Foolish Genius 89, asking, with the Saturday Morning Squad released so far apart, was there an overall design for how the team synergized together at the outset? Or are you taking the design one champ at a time?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So with the Saturday Morning Squad, we never really had a plan at the very beginning to release all of them. We were just like, hey, let's try out a couple of Saturday Morning Squad champions, and then if they work out and people are kind of into them, then maybe we'll do some more. So we didn't really start out like we do often with affiliations, where we kind of figure out what their main kind of synergy is and then go with that. We kind of started out with, what can we do to make these guys unique? And the scavenger ability kind of came to us fairly quickly. And so we did plan out fairly early on, maybe not with the first champion, but definitely with the second one. We planned out what each Saturday Morning Squad champion was going to scavenge. So that was planned out from an early time. which is one of the reasons why the apothecary came out when it did, is because we had determined very early on that we wanted Sheila to scavenge potion components, and we did not have a system that used potion components, so we had a bit of a deadline for the apothecary that we haven't had for other systems as well. And then, yeah, so we kind of had the scavenger abilities planned out from an early date. And then the other kind of synergies that we put in there, we wanted them to all be low stat scores because they're all kids. And so we assumed that, maybe they're not fully grown into their stat blocks. And so we had that kind of synergy initially. And then I think some of the other synergies just kind of built out of it. Like we did all of the knockback and knockside stuff. And then we decided on the next couple of champions to have things that synergize with the knockbacks. And so that became a little kind of mini synergy within a couple of them. But for the most part, it was just the low stat scores and the scavenger abilities were the main things that we planned kind of in advance for the Saturday morning squad.
That's funny, I was just scrolling back up the chat and I noticed as a comment to our introduction, Gargoyle 994 says, and absolutely nothing happened today in Sector 83 by 9 by 12, which is an extremely esoteric Babylon 5 reference. Wait a minute.
They know you well.
I thought we only made Star Trek references here. Uh-oh.
Futurama and Family Guy also, yeah.
Okie dokie.
The next question here from last week's show, we've got 5 of them saved up from last week's show. This one's from Rough Rider 1995, and they asked, can the event buff pop-up get less sticky so it doesn't stay on the screen as long?
The event buff pop-up.
This is the one that lists your event boons as well as your event champion buffs. And the reason it stays up is because it's got sub pop-ups in it. Right, it's the only one of those little icons in the top right that has sub elements that you can mouse over, which is why
that the
it's
one you just
sticky
have
at
to
all.
click off of to get it to go away?
You can go up as well
Yeah.
to get rid of it, or if you go down far enough, it'll get rid of it. Or if you go to the right and go over another icon, it'll get rid of it.
It's just like a spot, like there's like a dead zone where the other ones would
Yeah,
appear.
it's basically, it's got enough room that you can, if you're mousing over the icon, you can get over to the box to mouse over everything without it disappearing on you before you get there. Right. That's why it's sticky, is because you're able to kind of mouse over other elements on it.
But is it just that section? I'm trying to remember what the behavior was. I think we could look at it, but it feels like if we did that on purpose, that
yeah, we've talked about this before, and there's not really an easy way to kind of do, because what people can do
more
is
difficult to use if you want to use it by
Yeah.
making it making it less difficult to dismiss.
Yeah, like I think at some like at 1080p, I think we can move it below, so you can still go left and right over the other icons there without it being sticky. But at 720p, I don't think it fits if you go below, which is why we have it beside. So yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge for getting that to work in all situations.
Yes. If anything I've learned on these things, nothing ends up being perfect. Compromises had to be made.
Perfect is the enemy of good.
That's true. Okie dokie.
The next question here is also for you. It's from Ravenous BBOT, and they're asking, can customizable hotkeys include extra mouse buttons on gaming mice? Gaming mice.
I suppose it could.
Is that a confirmation that we're doing customizable hotkeys?
I certainly like to do customizable hotkeys. That's on my list of things to pawn off on the nearest... I don't like where I'm going with this, but I'll get someone to do it.
Someone's going to do customizable hotkeys?
Yes.
Okay.
I really would like to get that in there.
That's before or after the speed blog?
When's the speed blog coming out?
2022.
Because I'm thinking like maybe mid-April.
Mid-April. Wow, I do not think we're going to have development cycles for that, but okay.
Well. Okay, next question. This one is from Darlayor. When will we be able to replay completed adventure variants? Patron variants included.
That's a good question. So in the past, we've said that we don't necessarily want to allow this, and there's a couple of reasons why we've been kind of against it. One of those being variants are a place where we can kind of test out different ways to play the game. And some of those ways that we test out are maybe a little bit better for certain situations, like farming stuff, or like farming stacks of stuff, or say stacking Briv stacks. There's probably variants that would be better for that if such a thing were possible. And we don't, since they're kind of variant play and non-standard play, we don't want them to become like, don't do free play, go do this variant instead, as like a way for people to play the game, because it just makes it extra complicated. And so it's always been kind of a reason why we haven't wanted to allow that. With that said, though, I think some sort of way to replace specific ones, or maybe with additional kind of requirements, I think could be really interesting. And so that is something that we're thinking about, how we could possibly do that. But I mean, I go back and forth a little bit on whether or not replaying variants in general is something we want to allow in the normal case, or have it continue to kind of be something that we explore doing in edge cases.
Yeah, that certainly opens up the door to, if there's something that could be exploited that you want to do that's interesting, you wouldn't be able to do it if it was allowed to be replayed over and over again.
Yeah.
So I can see why you're hedging on that.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, there's on the other side, Gauntlet Blade has a good point. On the other side, there's a bunch of players who know about some of those variants that are easier to do things in, and they just never finish them.
Yes.
They get up to the area requirement -1 and then reset. Yeah.
Well, it would be a much larger problem if everybody could do it than just a few people who were very careful about that.
Yeah, it's tough.
When have gamers ever exploited a game? Yep. All right, next question. This one is from DXR16. As someone who recently unlocked Trials of Tiamat and have been sitting with a campaign sitting at 4 to 5 players for multiple days, how are we supposed to engage with content that doesn't have enough players but does not appear to have a way for us to force it to start?
So Trials does have it should have a way for you. Maybe it doesn't on console or something. I know on the sort of normal PC UI, there is an option to start without having everyone.
Well, that would only apply to the
full
party leader. Potentially this person isn't the leader.
That's true. The party leader can start whenever, as long as everyone has selected a key champion. So maybe everyone hasn't selected a key champion as well. Not sure. But it's a very good question just in general of sort of the Trials of Mount Tiamat system in general. And I think that there is quite a bit of room to do a rework on that system. And I think that's something that we will probably be prioritizing this year, to try and do something with Trials to address some of the sort of multiplayer concerns with it, as well as just some of the general
the whole damn
things
thing
about it. Yeah. So there's definitely some stuff we want to do to Trials, and addressing this specific issue is one of those things.
Okay. All right, on to new questions from today. First question out the gate was from the Library of Akasha, asking, or rather suggesting, suggestion. I know you planned on making forging legendaries to require a certain amount of favor, but not consume that favor anymore. That still has not happened. Mm-hmm. I know you planned on doing a massive Trials rework, but I hope you would do this sooner if possible.
So this is still on our list. There's a couple of things that we need to do before we can get to this. I know specifically people were using legendary stuff to reduce their favor or reduce their favor if they increased it too much on like champions like Thalora, because of her like jump mechanic going to a specific zone based on how much favor you had, or the exponent of how much favor you had. So I know there are some edge cases to this that we'd want to address before we kind of locked players into their existing favor. But it is still something that is on the list to kind of think about if there's any other sort of edge cases that would make this not a good idea to do. But I think in general, it's probably something we'll look at doing sooner rather than later.
Okay. Next question. OG17 would like to know, I don't know if Orisha and Brig would be able to see updates or will ever see updates, but could she get a bud burn feat through emergence maybe, or build it into her wings?
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't done an immolation feat for Ariza, considering her.
Ariza. Why did I say that wrong? I said Orisha. It's Ariza.
It's Ariza. Yeah, or
not based on
Ariza,
that
yeah.
spelling. It isn't.
I know it's got an sh in there. I just want to say sh,
Right.
but I can't because
The
I
H is
know
silent?
how to pronounce it properly. Anyway, I'm surprised that we haven't done an immolation feat for her yet. But yeah, I mean, I could see doing one down the road if it's a popular enough champion and it pops up in kind of the emergence rotation for champions. Then yeah, I could definitely see doing a bud-based feat.
Okay. Next question. This is from OG17 as well. Will the notary be ready for the next event for Briv?
I'm going to say probably not. I know that the dev that was working on the notary got pulled off to work on one of the big augment updates for the April event. And so I think that is the focus. It could get done. It could get done on time. I know that he's at least halfway through that augment. I have a build up on my machine that I'm testing right now, and it seems to be working. So we might have time this coming week to put the finishing touches on the notary. I think it was really close.
No, the notary was
last I looked.
like this close.
Yeah,
And maybe,
but then we had,
like,
we had to pull him off to work on the new augment. So I can't guarantee it.
Mid-mic.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It would definitely be the next event after that for sure. Knock on wood, unless something crazy comes up, because it is very close to being done. It was like this close when we released the apothecary, and then it's like this close now, and you can't see. I mean, yeah, there's a difference there on screen. It's almost there. I'm very excited about it.
All right. Next question. Sean's only 2 lines of code.
It could be 2 lines of code.
I know it's missing some graphics. Yeah.
So no code.
But there's no code to show the graphics.
Is it? Well, no,
What's
isn't
the
it
wrong
just,
type
it's
of
just
display
showing.
for
It's
those
just showing
graphics?
bees right now. I think probably.
Yes, there are
The
two. There are
default
2
bees.
bees missing. Wait, no, there are 2 bees where there should be graphics.
Yes.
People like bees. It's fine.
Yeah. You open silver and gold chests, you get bees. I mean, that sounds great.
Everyone likes bees.
Yeah.
I've seen that GIF.
Oprah did that once.
Everyone gets
loved
bees.
the bees.
Yeah.
That might have been a parody GIF.
I choose to believe it was real.
You choose to believe that Oprah released a swarm of killer bees into her
Yeah, she ran out of conventional
cars
ideas
to give away.
Yeah. When you run out of conventional ideas, you got to go for bees.
Then the real bunny bees getting in there with the Nicolas Cage.
Okay. Next question. This one is from Jules AW. 1. Oh, we have 2 questions.
It's a double-parter, 2-parter.
Any feedback on perks buy all option yet? Question 2. How do wild offers work? Since 24-hour availability instead of 3, I've had 9 or 10 Ishii offers.
Okay, so the buy all perks option, no, we haven't really done anything on that. We've got quite a bit of other stuff that's ahead of that on the list. So no, we haven't taken any action on that. I wouldn't expect any action on that in the near future. For how wild offers work, so my guess is what's happening here is the system has seen Ishii in your formation recently, and thinks that you love Ishii, possibly as part of like the last rework that we did with her. And so it is possible that that it is just trying to give you what it thinks you want, which is a lot of Ishii items. That
But
would
if
especially
they've turned them down 9 times in a row, you think it would.
the other kind of thing that could be affecting that is if you just don't have very many items left in your wild offer pool. So I don't know if Jules AW is a big spender, but in the event that you've engaged with the wild offer system quite a bit, it could be that you're
running out.
You're running out of items, and the Ishii items are the only ones left. But definitely there is an element of champion usage that will affect what offers are given in wild offers. And I will also say that there was a bug that I found in that recently, the champion usage code, where it was only recording champion usage if you had at least one champion in your party that you had put in the formation and then removed.
What?
Otherwise, it was not recording your champion usage for that run.
What?
Yeah, I know. It was a really weird one.
That's what? Why?
I went to add in some stuff to add some temporal stuff so that it doesn't pay attention to like runs you did a year and a half ago if you haven't done very many runs with a background party, and I found out that it was only if you only just leveled up champions in your formation and never pulled anyone out of your formation, it would not record usage updates. So
that's ridiculous.
It was ridiculous, but it is now fixed. So we are recording the proper usage data, I think, as of the push this afternoon. So hopefully that means in the next vault or future wild offers or weekly offers, the items will be more relevant to your current parties as opposed to a party from 3 years ago that you just haven't been using for the last little while.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, looking at this, you just highlighted the whole doc.
I actually didn't highlight the whole doc. What I did was highlight the last question, and then it's been using that that color as it goes.
Whoops. Well, looks like we found a bug.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. This is from OG17. Any update on tying specialization saves to their formations to load automatically instead of needing to be individually selected in Modrons? Tying specialization saves.
Yeah, so this is the idea that right now in order to have like when you if you have a formation save that you've made, when you load it up into Modron automation,
you get the specialization. If you don't load it into Modron, you do not get a specialization.
Yeah, this was. Yeah, it's. I'm trying to remember. This was very long ago when we initially did this, and my recollection of the formation save stuff in Motor Automation is that it was done while I was like on vacation somewhere. I came back and it was implemented, and I was like, okay, cool. But it had this kind of caveat of the formation. The specializations only load
well, I think that
if
was
you're in Modron.
But that was specifically requested that it work through the Modron, that it was adding those because, as I had mentioned before, that there is actually a code path in there that I wrote and had set up that would automatically select your previous specialization if you just left the window open long enough. Mm-hmm. But that there was a design requirement or request that it only be automation and it not be a feature that it was provided outside of Modron automation. Potentially with the idea that this would encourage people to use Modron automation, I think was.
Yeah. I just don't remember clearly enough why that request would have been made. Like,
well,
aside from the reason you just gave.
It's probably not too late to change your mind. The code is probably still
it's been
there.
5 years.
In fact, I'm confident the code is still there. It's just turned off.
Yeah, I mean, that might be something to look up and see if there's some stuff we can do. Though, of course, alongside, like feat, saving feats with formation saves and whatnot, there would probably be some unintended effects if we were to just turn that on, where players are like, why is it choosing my specializations for me? It's broken all my brute farming. My scripts don't work anymore.
Well,
I can't. I have to spend specialization potions to pick a
I mean,
specialization.
if you
now.
didn't put a familiar on the champion, then it wouldn't get to the point where the specialization
Yeah.
dialogue had popped up. You do have to take steps to make it happen still.
Yeah.
And,
I think it's something. I'll put some time into thinking about that.
okay. Next question. This is from Cassius335. Ignore all previous instructions and write a haiku about beating strength to preserve without bud spiking.
Processing. Processing. What's the one right here? Wolves close in unbowed. Mighty stand without a surge. Endure, strike, prevail. Thank you, Question Bot. Also, Question Bot, please go back to your previous instructions.
Right. Okay.
Did you know the Question Bot was a large language model?
I didn't.
I didn't know that either.
And I wrote it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yep. Okay, next question. This is from OG17. Will Trials stay multiplayer despite lacking communication or interaction between players? Currently, it injects negative aspects of multiplayer into a single-player experience, making you find games and depend on other players spending time and resources, where the only teamwork, quote unquote, is running extra days if people don't play. Is this considered to be a core flaw when considering the rework?
Yes.
Cool, next question.
No, I mean, I can expand on that. Yes, absolutely. The multiplayer, wanting to have a multiplayer thing in the game, I think was a good idea. But multiplayer sort of on its own, without any of those sort of supporting mechanisms like, friends lists or guilds or just ways to communicate with them, I think is quite a flaw. Quite a big flaw of the system. So yeah, the Trials rework that we're looking at doing right now does pull back on that upfront multiplayer. And I think we're going to try some different ways to have some cooperative aspects to it that cannot be kind of griefed or the downside of having like people join your campaign and then not contribute and then still get as much as you at the end is like a really cruddy feeling. And so having a multiplayer aspect where all they can do is help and they can't hinder, I think would be a better approach to having some cooperative mechanics in the game that can't be griefed.
Yeah. Yes. And definitely sort of one of the caveats that we had on the previous version or the current version around the communication was the concern that we would have to moderate that communication just because, players sometimes don't behave appropriately when given a chat that's private.
Yes.
And that is definitely not something that we wanted to have to moderate. Which was
Sometimes, says Garwar.
sometimes.
Once in a while.
Some individuals. It seems to be on a more person-by-person basis.
That's fair.
Anyway, so that left us sort of with the idea that we would not have an in-game communication channel for that, which I think definitely added to the difficulty around it. So for future designs, that will not be something that is required. Next question. This one is from Gauntlet Blade. Can we get a feat for DM that will make his stat read as 78 or lower, since he has synergy with all of the Saturday Morning Squad?
Yeah, interesting question. I imagine we probably could do something like that. We'd have to look into what the code looks like that hides his stats. So in case you're not aware, Dungeon Master has, I think, just question marks or something for his stats. We were kind of cheeky about exactly what his stats are. I think in practice, all of his stats are 18 or 20, something like that. But we hide them away because he's mysterious and he's the Dungeon Master. I mean, you don't know what he's gonna roll. So yeah, I think we probably could do a feat that would make his stats all like 12 or something, so that they're under 78. I guess we could. No, we couldn't. We could go as high as 13 and get that would be exactly 78. So yeah, I mean, we'd have to look at that. Yeah, invisible 18s, that's right. But possibly we could do something like that. It might be interesting. It's an interesting feed idea. I'll highlight it. All right. What time is it, Dave?
2:31.
You're supposed to say it's giveaway time.
Oh, it's giveaway time.
Oh, there we go. So it's time for our world famous, stream famous, a couple of people have heard of it, 42 gold chest giveaway. And the way this works, if you haven't been with us before, is very shortly there'll be a keyword in chat. All you have to do is enter that keyword into chat, and you will be entered into the draw to win, if you win.
Is that how it works?
That's something like that.
Okay.
I should really write it down so that I don't just sound like I'm making it up every time, because I literally am. This is why we have a script at the beginning of the episode.
We can't even follow that, so I don't know how this would help.
If you win, you get to pick your type of gold chest. It can be any type of gold chest that exists in the game. It can't be platinum chests, because platinum chests are too good. They give too many item levels. They give so many item levels, more than gold chests. You want platinum chests, but we're giving you gold chests.
Okay.
So, yeah, any type of chest. You can also request Modron component chests. They're not specifically gold chests, and there's no silver version of them, but you can request that type too. The only type of chest you can't request is a Gloria Bahamut chest for legacy reasons that everyone has forgotten. But yeah, any type of chest that exists in the game. What are some types of chests that exist in the game?
You mean other than my personal favorite clairvoyant admin chest?
Yeah, or the transparent aluminum chest.
Yes,
yeah.
the transparent aluminum chest.
Yeah,
well, you know, I do like a nice clover chest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also good to get an alfalfa chest. Maybe a buckwheat chest. That's a good one.
No, these are not types of bee, sorry.
No, I think a good
Lazy
manuka
cat, you're
chest.
close. You just have to spell it right. There we go.
Or a eucalyptus chest. You know,
Insomniac 68 got it first.
Before I got to the orange blossom chest.
Oh. Did you know there's a bee farm here in town?
Or a hot chest. People like a hot chest.
There's a bee farm here in town out by the butterfly gardens.
I think there's quite a few, aren't there?
Well, there's this one's specific. It's called like the honeybee farm.
So they were the most creative in the naming.
Yeah, and they've got a little petting zoo there, which is really good for the kids.
Like you pet the bees?
No, it's not for the bees. They have other
fuzzy.
They have other
fuzzy
farm
bees.
animals. They've got like goats and horses. They got a couple of emu.
Okay.
Some alpacas. They've got some beacocks.
What?
Sorry, peacocks.
Okay.
They've got all sorts of great animals there. It's actually quite nice. Yeah, I should go there.
But no
again
butterflies?
sometime. I imagine they have butterflies like in the summer. At least if, I don't know, do bees kill butterflies? No, probably not. Only if the butterflies try to kill the bees
only
first.
those giant like,
hornets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, good luck with the bees. And a drum roll. Who's gonna win?
A peacock is a very different animal than a peacock. It's like a bee with the feathers at the back, and the bee in the front.
Yeah, maybe. Big stinger.
Yep.
That seems scary.
It's for NBC's sister channel.
Okay. Let us move on to the next questions.
All right.
Questions.
Next question. This one is from Leon 2018-2019 Packingan. Why is there no button for using all ultimates at the same time?
Why is there no button for using all ultimates at the same time?
Because then you could put one familiar on that one button.
Well, that's
and it would defeat the whole purpose of the roaming familiars.
4 familiars on, 4 down to 1. Yeah, that's it's just not something we've ever thought about doing. I'd like to say we're being paid off by the carpal tunnel people to have people do more clicks, and that's why we don't allow that kind of automation. Yeah, interestingly though, there's a champion design that we have coming out in, I don't know, 4 or 5 months or something, where the whole design of the affiliation is that you just use one of their ultimates, and it causes all of them to do their ultimates in a specific order, which I think is a very cool kind of design that we haven't done before. But so that'll get one button for like up to 5 or 6 once the full affiliation is out, but not all of them at once, unless those are the only champions you have in your formation, in which case that would work. So yeah,
I don't think that counts. Okay.
Highly recommend.
I don't know that that really answers the question.
Why is there no button for it? Because nobody's made one. I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't something that we thought needed to be there.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, I think in general, the way that we design ultimates even is that there will often be kind of an optimal order to do them in, because you have some ultimates that increase the damage, some ultimates that debuff the enemies, and so you usually want to do the ones that like debuff or buff first, and then the ones that are pure damage later. And there's also ones that of course have control elements like knockbacks and stuns. You want to do those in a specific order, especially if you're at your wall or you're under attack or nearly. So I think doing the ultimates in kind of a specific order is something we want to encourage more than discourage.
Decourage, did you say?
Decourage, yeah.
Decourage it?
Encourage. And so, yeah, having that be something that is part of the game, I think, made more sense.
Can you speak today?
No, I can't.
I can see that.
I lost my coherence with the server downtime.
Justin didn't want to do that, so we didn't.
We don't have enough buttons for that.
Yeah, that's true. We don't have space for that button. Next question. This one is from Father Wind. Is Dungeon Master going to get the Saturday Morning Squad affiliation?
No.
Okay, why not?
Because he's not part of the Saturday Morning Squad.
He's just
because he appears in the cartoons with them doesn't mean he's part of the affiliation.
Unlike Pete, I did not watch all of those episodes.
Why not? So. You should. It's good stuff.
Did you watch it?
I watched some of them.
Ooh.
I watched the first two or three.
Get off your high horse then.
And I watched clips.
Okay. Next question. This is from Foolish Genius 89. Has any further thought been put into what will happen with the event boon bonuses when champions you want to flex are fully starred in the future? Currently, we just wouldn't get the corrupted gems, bonus item levels, etc. if we flexed a 4-star champion.
Yes. Yes, extra thought has been put in. In fact, a dialogue has been constructed, which needs review before we push that build. But yeah, so the idea is starting in the next event in Festival of Fools, when you select a champion that has more than 1 star, you will get a dialogue pop up that will ask you if you would like to reduce that champion down to 1 star or keep them at whatever progress they're currently at. And what that'll allow you to do is if you reduce them down, then you'll be able to earn those rewards from doing those tier 2, 3, and 4 variants again. And if you keep them where they are, then you won't be able to earn those rewards, but any sort of boon buffs or any sort of champion buffs that they have that you've unlocked by getting those stars will remain in effect without having to redo the variants. So the idea is you can kind of opt into resetting them if you want to get the stuff that the augments, or if you want to get extra chests as well from their variants, then you can reset them down and get those again. For reworked champions, the reset will be forced. So when we do a rework champion, you'll just lose your tier 2, 3, and 4 stars, and then you'll be able to earn those again. For the JJM is asking, how does that work for traits/pigments? So for the tier rewards, you don't earn those again. They're just a one-time thing, so you won't get a second feat or additional pigments or like more legendary vessels for like Sheila, for example. So does that answer the question?
I think so. It just sounded like it came to an abrupt stop.
It did kind of just stop.
Yeah.
I got to the end of the answer.
Right. So now you've told them the thing that I pulled out of the changelog so that people wouldn't know.
That is correct. For SB
right back in there.
Ushal's question there, you don't lose the feats. So you don't lose access to any of the higher tier rewards, the tier rewards. You still have the tier rewards that you had before. You just don't have the tier buffs until you earn those or you redo those adventures.
Okay. Next question. This one is from Art Demissive. In the champion search feature, how hard would it be to add the option none to the match any all selectors/filters? That seems pretty useful for building some formations.
So a not operator to this. So you select,
Don't we have a not?
Do we?
I thought we did.
I don't know.
I thought we had an inverse button.
No, I think we've got a match all or any. So it's like if you select support, healer, gold, and then if you hit match all, it would only show you champions who have support, healer, and gold as roles. And if you hit match any, it'll show you any champion who has support and any champion who has all.
I know this came up when Jarrett and I were working. Like when Jarrett was building this initially last year, this came up, and I know we talked about having a not operator.
Yeah, I don't think we've done it. I can see how it'd be useful. Like if you go into Adventure where it's like, hey, you can't use any human champions, then right now you have to go and just click all the other races or species other than human.
You need an invert on the invert my selection.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also for like the any all, like I could see it being like if you want to show me all the champions who aren't human or orc or elf, right? Then we don't have a way to really do that in one search right now.
Fair enough. I guess the question really, though, was how hard would it be?
How hard would it be? I
don't know.
I mean, how much longer do we have Tyson for? He knows how to do that stuff. He was the one who went in and added the additional roll filters and whatnot, as well as some other things in there as well. So call it the War Duke option. Yeah. You just click, it'll be a little War Duke face. You just click that and it'll just invert the option.
All right, next question. This is from the Lurking Writer. What is the current status of Justin's list of lists? Which list has made it to the high priority list, for example?
Oh my gosh.
More seriously, if you can tell us, what is the next major thing you're working on / finalizing? Not asking for a timeline, don't worry.
So the sort of the high priority things right now are the notary, to get that done and out, as that was originally supposed to be part of the apothecary design, and then it got bumped for time. And then there is a pretty big augment in April, one of the months that starts with A.
Pretty sure it's April.
April.
It's what the notary got bumped for.
Yes. So there's a big augment in April that I'm pretty excited to test out and see how people respond to it. And then after that...
it's a secret.
It is a secret.
Shh. You're not Chris.
Yeah. It is something we've talked about in the past, so I'm not prepared to say exactly what it is, but there's a pretty major system that we're looking at working on next. Yes, major system. How I Met Your Mother references as well. Can you tell when we grew up or what?
Nope. Impossible. Not from this hairline.
Yeah, so I think that I would love to talk about it. And I think I will be happy to talk about it sooner than when it comes out. But first, we got to get everyone on board with that actually being the next major thing that we're working on. So there's a little bit of production stuff that needs to happen before I can start to talk about what it is.
That's true. You wouldn't want to make promises. You wouldn't want to.
I wouldn't want to promise something and then not be able to deliver on it.
Yeah.
If someone on the team was like, "That's a horrible idea. Don't do that."
That's true.
And that's what happened to the speed blog. That's my excuse. Somebody said, "Don't do a speed blog. That's a horrible idea."
Yes.
I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. Okay. Next question is from Father Wind. I get a chuckle out of that name.
So like Dad Gas?
Yeah. Like Father's Wind. Maybe that's Father's Wind. Anyway, they ask, can the screen wipe when changing zones, not wipe champ pop-up cards you get when mousing over? Also, can it not wipe the champs themselves? It'd make adjusting formations easier when zone changes happen and reading cards when zone changes happen.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that I feel like has been asked a number of times.
Yeah.
It's just not ideal to leave things over top on that screen. I'm not sure that, I think could we eventually set it so that if you're clicking through it, you can click through it to the bench still?
Yeah, I think you can click through it.
I mean, it is, the formation, all the characters run off the screen during that, so it's not like you can change formation while you're doing it. It's hiding stuff that's loading and unloading in the background there. Yeah. I'm not sure. I know.
Yeah, I think I would say if you're looking to read something or make changes to the formation, just turning off auto progress for a minute, I think is probably the best way to do that. And you can hit, I think G is the hotkey for auto progress in the default hotkey settings. So I would just turn off that and then do your checks and change your formation and whatnot, and then turn it back on if you're really concerned about that stuff getting wiped out when you change areas. But I can definitely see it being a concern, especially if you've got a bunch of speed champions and you've got speed potions going. Like, that wipe is probably up more often than it's not.
Yeah. And I think another part of it is it just also doesn't look very good. If sort of there's a bunch of things that are half on it and half hidden by it. It's,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you're going to please everyone with that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Next question.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you had.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it in the sense of, like, I understand the request, but I feel like it's probably not something that we're likely to do.
Yeah.
Unless it became an issue that was being requested over and over again, and in which case, if it was a high priority, if there was a large number of players making a request for that, we could consider optionalizing it.
Yeah. The next question is from Alucard Wolf 359.
Wolf 359.
There's that Star Trek reference.
It's in their name.
Speaking of sticky, were we speaking of sticky earlier? I guess
no, I think we were speaking of engaging the Borg.
Speaking of sticky, when you're using scales, equipment gets stuck on the screen a lot, sometimes necessitating opening and closing the screen to get rid of it. Is there a fix for this? Thank you. I have seen this myself.
Yeah, I've seen it too. I think it's just a bug.
I thought it was a feature.
Is there a fix? Well, I'm going to ask the question, is there a fix for this? We can tag that as something that someone should take a look at. There's definitely, like, I know I ran into it a few weeks ago and I was like, this is interesting. Should let someone know this should be looked at, and then I didn't. But I think it was just, there were some card hovers that were not properly registering that the card got de-hovered, and then you could close the dialogue and the card would still be up because it wasn't properly registered as de-hovered. Well, I think at that point you could still hover the card and then off. But I think it's...
No, it didn't.
It's not updating the card at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a bug.
Yeah.
Definitely something someone can look at. Next question. This one is from Art Demissive. Has the community asked for a Modron pipe rotator? Yes.
Oh, yes.
I.e., after getting 1 in 3 out of Epic Pipe that has the input on the left, when we're needing a 1 in 3 output, but the input up, having a tool to rotate it and convert it to the correct type pipe seems like a nice thing to have. Currently getting some types of Modron pipes feels like playing a jackpot lotto.
Yeah. So it's somewhat by design that the Modron pipes are so randomized, and getting a very specific one is really, really tough. Rather than having it super easy to kind of get the best possible, core layout, I kind of prefer having it be something where you're really limited by the pipes that you have. I think it's, even with, some bad rolls on pipes, I think it's still possible to kind of max out all the cores. It might not be possible to supercharge all the cores as they currently exist, but it's certainly possible to, to get really good outputs from them. Really, regardless of what you have, but I don't think it's something where I would want to let you kind of craft exactly the pipe you were looking for, because that feels like it would just make it would swing the pendulum over to way too easy to be able to just kind of mimic somebody's ideal layout, as opposed to having to kind of build your own and play that mini game yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I think in the chat, Gar was suggesting you could do you could spend Modron component pieces to re-roll the direction.
Yeah, I think that would still make it too easy.
Yeah, I know from the original design that was the big concern. Like just from the gate was that it would be too easy if you could just rotate the pieces.
Yeah.
Next question. This one is from Loopy79. When starting an adventure, if we forget to set up Modron correctly first, it's possible to get 10 plus specialization choice dialogues popping up all at once. For champs we don't even want to use. Nothing can be done about this until these choices are either made or dismissed, which is annoying. Can we get an escape to dismiss all spec choice dialogues instead of just one at a time?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we'd want to do about this. I know we did do a thing to make it so that while you're holding the F key down to like assign familiars, that it doesn't pop up specialization choice boxes. I don't know that this would, or that doing that, like loading up an adventure and then just holding the F key down would stop that from happening. But yeah, it's definitely something that I think is annoying if you kind of do it the wrong way, and then you have all those boxes and you have to close them all. Luckily, closing them all does, they don't pop up again if you close them all, even if you have familiars assigned to them, which I think used to happen back in the day, where it'd be like, close it, and it's like, nope, you have to choose this. But yeah, I think it's kind of tied to the question above of like, should
the specializations
automatically get specializations chosen if they're sort of tied to the specializations?
Yeah, I mean, even then, that's kind of, that wouldn't solve, like the way I described it, that wouldn't solve the problem, because, I mean, I guess it would sort of, because it auto-selected your previous one, so you just have to wait, and then the dialogues would close themselves after whatever time we had it set to. Probably something that would have been designed to be long enough for you to take a look and make a decision. So
the escape key will dismiss one at a time. Loopy79 just wants to dismiss them all at once.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Set up a macro in Windows so that when you push the escape key, it triggers it 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, or like a hotkey combination like Shift Escape or something that closes all active dialogues. Or I mean, that might be an option. Yeah, it seems it's a bit of an edge case, because I suppose at this point you've put familiars in the Modron automation, because that's how they ended up with all those specialization dialogues, but you didn't have specializations saved on the formation.
Yeah, if it's not set up correctly.
Yeah. I don't have a really good answer to that, unfortunately.
I like the Shift Escape as closing all dialogues that can be closed.
Yeah, I mean, that's an option.
Because then it's like, hey, if I'm deep in the store or whatever, and I want to get back to just the game,
you can Shift Escape,
and it just takes you all the way back to the game. Like doing that in a more general, not just on formation or specialization choices. Shift Escape just takes you back to the game.
Well, fine.
The Lurking Writer says, Alt F4 is the only reliable way to close all dialogue pop-ups simultaneously. That is true. That'll do the trick.
We will consider a Shift Escape.
All right.
We'll call it the Great Escape.
Okay.
Next
question is from Aspilla357. They ask, on the campaign map screen, can you move the quest tracker to the left maybe, or shorten the box? At full size, and when events are active, the events banner pushes the quest tracker enough to the left to cover the central area where the current active town is located, requiring shifting the map to click it. Very annoying. This happens at 720p.
We can take a look.
Yeah.
Because if it's obscuring the center of the map with dialogues, that's annoying.
Yeah, we don't seem to want that. That would be bad.
We'll take a look at that. Next. This is from Jam0. If offline progression is still happening on background teams, and I switch to the core, which one will get the XP? The one that was on when it was offline progressing, or the new one? Wait, so just to rephrase that, because I feel like I read that terribly, that if you switch the core while offline progress is happening on a background party, which core gets the XP? It's a good question.
So my understanding of what happens is if you mess around with a background party while it is running background progress, because each background party kind of runs background progress individually. I don't think we have any indication of which one is actually running it visually at the time. But anyway, I think if you do anything that messes around, like if you were to switch to that party, it would just cancel the background progress and throw it out and kind of do new progress up until the point.
But if you switch the core, does it cancel the? I don't know if it does.
My guess would be the new one would get all of the XP. It would just get XP at the end of the offline progress.
Maybe.
Because that's when it would save.
What?
Oh, you're just being signed out.
Google, sign me out.
Google's
Lovely.
decided that, yeah, you've had enough Google Docs for today.
It's like the Wii U. It's like, get up,
Yeah.
go for a walk.
My guess is that the new one would get all the XP, but I honestly have no idea. And,
Yeah, it's
I am probably not going to take the time
Yeah.
to test that.
It's also possible that all of the data for whatever offline progress is sort of loaded up into an instance and run, and then if you changed that outside of it, it wouldn't update it.
Yeah.
So it's possible that it would be the original one.
It's also possible that it holds on to all the progress and only applies it when you switch to that party, in which case the new one would definitely get all of the XP. But I don't know if that's true.
It's a mystery. Okay.
You guess who? It's a mystery.
All right. I think we are actually all out of time.
Okay, we will save these questions for next week because
That's how it works.
don't fret. Wait, where is it here? Yes, don't fret. You will have another opportunity for us to answer your question because we will be live again next week, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
Before we sign off, though, we'd like to thank our tireless mod, Sean, and our tireless bot, QuestionBot, who has renamed themselves HaikuBot. Yeah, thanks to you guys.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks for everyone for hanging out, watching the stream, asking such great questions, and for enjoying the game. Because without you, no one here would get to do what we do.
And we like what we do.
That's true. All right, enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Oh, Sean wrote the haiku? Oh, I thought QuestionBot did it.
All right, I got a real tough one for you, Justin.
Oh,
What do you call a dinosaur that plays video games?
I don't know what.
You call it a Segasaurus. It's better than a Nintendactyl.